Yeah.
We are live. Oh,
Now
surprise.
we,
Dale.
Yeah, all right. I got it now.
Okay, welcome everybody that's joined us to the Village of Richfield Springs Board of Trustees meeting for 21st of April 2020. We will have start with a roll call. Sure. We are live. Oh.
Yeah, all right. I got it now.
Welcome everybody that's joined us.
oh, there's Joe.
Trustee Van Riper.
Yes.
Trustee Walshipski.
Yes.
Trustee Putnam.
Here.
Mayor Moser.
Here. All right, thank you, Dale. We'll begin with our second public hearing for the sewer rates. We said we would have two public hearings for each of the sewer rates and the tentative budget to allow people to get some comments. Are there any comments? Did we get any written comments, Dale? No written comments for the sewer rates?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then if there are no comments, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing for sewer rates.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And a vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, we'll open the public hearing then for 2020-2021 tentative budget. Any comments? No comments for the tentative budget. I'll entertain a motion then to close the public hearing for the tentative budget.
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion to do so.
And a second,
I'll second.
and a vote.
Yes.
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 And yes, very good, thank you. Let's start right off the bat. We have a couple of projects in the hopper that we need to talk about. One we'll talk about tonight, and one we'll have to postpone until our next meeting. One that we will postpone needs a little introduction, and that, if you've been driving on Main Street, you'll notice that Stewart's has been excavating back there behind the building. I believe that's going to require a little nod from us. So I'm gonna let Jim Roberts fill you in on what he knows of the project, and then we'll talk about what we have to do going forward.
Okay.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Joe.
So before you start, we have feedback. Is somebody watching themselves on YouTube?
I don't know. I'm getting a lot of feedback here too. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I have a ton of
Here,
feedback.
we all are.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That,
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I turned my speakers off. That sucks. Sorry.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Whoa.
then, Joe. Joe?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm still waiting for my video to kick in, so I'll keep going until it kicks in. So
All right.
last week, down at Stewart's, you could see that there was an excavator and some stuff going on, and what I did was I actually stopped the process underneath the executive order as a code officer, because one, they were digging and they didn't come to the village for one. They spoke to the DPW to find out if there's anything that they're gonna hit. That was about it. Two is that they didn't say anything to the county, and they gotta get permission to be deemed essential for that. So I put a stop to it. Their corporate called me, between me and my boss at County Codes, Tony Gentile. Tony said this project is not essential because what they're doing is they're digging a big culvert system, which you all got sent a set of plans to your home address from Stewart's. The mayor asked that Stewart send them all to you guys for you guys to look at. It's a little confusing and stuff like that, but basically I want to culvert tube in to stop the field, soccer field from flooding. Now, with this being said, I started doing a little research and found out they're digging in the floodplain also. So we already went through an issue with DEC back in the 90s, come back to haunt us and say, why did you allow the school to build an addition in the flood zone? So automatically, I got a hold of Tony Gentile, my boss, as coach. He's also our floodplain administrator. So the village turned over the rights for floodplain review to be done by Tony Gentile. We spoke, we went back and forth on some things. He really wants the village to take a look at it. He wants the trustees to do essentially almost like a site plan review on it. Look at it, come up with concerns and stuff like that you have, write them down, and we put it in writing, and we give it to our floodplain administrator. So with this being said, I've kind of been thrown into it as a code officer to do some research and stuff like that. And I've also taken the initiative to get information for the village, what's in the best interest for us. From there, I talked to the gentleman from DEC named Tom Blanchard. He's the one that contacted us about the addition to the school, and I asked if this needs to go in front of him. Technically, it goes in front of our floodplain administrator. He signs off on it, if it's good or not. And it sounds like liability is on him because we assigned him to be our floodplain administrator. But with this, he asked me to do some researching. And we're not required to turn it over to DEC, but we can recommend we want them involved to look at it, to cross any T's and dots any I's. And they're more than willing to look at it. And matter of fact, I kind of gave him a sneak preview. I already sent the plans to him to look at. Him and I have been on the phone for the past 2 days. And here's questions and issues that I want you guys to think about while you look at these plans. And when we bring something to Tony Gentile to look at it, I would highly recommend that these are things that we want or answered. Number one, if you look at the plans, you notice there's no engineer stamped on them. So who drew these plans? That means anyone could have drew these plans. How do we know they're right? How do we know what they're proposing is going to be done right? You know, just because a corporate guy from Boston Spa sent me something doesn't mean it's accurate. So number one is, I would say this is all my opinions, and it obviously comes down to you guys. Is I would ask for an engineer stamp on it. Because goes with that, you know, and you'll see why when I bring these other things to your attention. Number one is we needed to know what the problem is. Okay, the soccer field floods. Why does it flood? What's causing it? You know, so define the problem. We need that defined. The next thing is, what is the system? What is the function of this? What's it going to do? Is this going to just constrict water flow? Or is this actually to deal with the 100-year floodplain? Because if it's dealing with the 100-year floodplain, DEC's glanced at it, said this ain't efficient. Now, he said it very well could be efficient to constrict water flow. But the question is, what happens with that water flow when that system fills up? Say if we get a flood, it may take a lot of water. It may take hundreds of thousands of gallons to fill this up, but what if we have that fluke situation where this fills up? Where does the spill go over? Where does it divert the excess water to? Is this going to flood out people at the old Bruce Hall? Is this going to flood out people on Walnut Street, you know, or is it going to flood out more of the schools? So with that being said, we need an engineer to tell us this stuff. Also, we need an impact study done, which would be done by an engineer. That goes along with, is this a negative impact or is this a positive impact? Because it's a negative impact, stewards must go to every property that's going to be affected by this and get a written sign off that's going to be legally binding by this. So
Yeah.
that's the next thing. We also need to know is how will it work? How does this system work? Explain it to us. Is it work like a leach field? Is it work like a septic system? Is it just to divert water? The next thing is, like I said, will this or could this make anything worse? So we need to know that. And if it is worse, how are they going to deal with it? What's their plan of an attack if something goes wrong? Something does flood out. Including the school. DC made one thing clear, that if the school's in the flood zone, we absolutely have authority. Especially a floodplain administrator, and also us as a code officer, me as a code officer. We may not have authority over a lot of things like the structure and stuff like that, but it's a floodplain. They're dealing with our flood zone. And that's the next question. So where the plans end, is the school going to pick up and add on and extend it somewhere? We need to know that. And then also, how is this going to be maintained? Once they put it in, how are they going to maintain it? What if something gets clogged? Are you doing anything to prevent clogging? Are you going to prevent anything from a bunch of pebbles and all this other stuff going in and clog? Whatever the case may be. So we need to know how is it going to be maintained? Next thing is the DC brought up, and he said we can't mandate this, but we can ask to see if they're willing to do it. My opinion is we absolutely will push for an engineer. I think we definitely should. What our floodplain administrator said, we want an engineer involved. But the part we can't mandate is if they get an engineer involved, will they be willing to do an elevation study, a base flood study, to tell us all the elevations around the floodplain elevations and all this stuff with the school, with properties around it and stuff like that? Because this could have a positive impact where if the study is good, it could take people out of the flood zone. That means saving the public money and insurance and flood insurance.
Right.
But it could also work the other way. This could be negative. This could be bad, where if they study and say, oh boy, the elevation is actually higher now, or it may take it out. They may say this helps the elevation. And like Tom Blanchard said, this study could lead to a lot of grants for the village to do more drainage. So if their engineer is willing to do that, if Stewart's willing to do that, then fantastic. If they say no, too bad, then my opinion is it doesn't hurt to ask. Lastly, there's also, if there's a negative impact, I already talked about that, the legally bound, sorry about that. I'm talking about this. With the floodplain, there's also rules and regulations of how's it going to be anchored down. How are these culverts going to be anchored down? Is it just going to be stone put on top of it? Is there going to be an anchor system? All this stuff. So I think you guys see where I'm going with all this is, them sending us a set of plans is not enough information. We need an engineer involved. We need an engineer stamp. We need these questions answered. We need something totally written out from an engineer. And I do know that Tony Gentile told Stewart's he won't even look at it until he sees absolutely what we expect and what we want. And he may tell Stewart's, well, I'm not going to look at it until you answer these questions for the village. So, I mean, that's where we can lead with that.
Joe, I have a question
Yes.
that I think would be helpful for you to answer. Would we be having this decision to make if this part of this project was not in the 100-year flood zone, the Class A flood zone?
It wouldn't be as intense as we are right now. No, this discussion would probably not be as relevant as it is right now.
Would we be entitled to have all these questions answered if there was no flood zone involved?
I don't think we would be required to I want to say, I'm trying to find the right way I want to word this. Because it's in a flood zone, these are absolutely things we need answered. If it's not in the flood zone, it doesn't affect anything, and it wouldn't affect anything with a 100-year, and it may not even affect anything with flooding anyone out. So if this, let's say if this was up on top of Monticello Street, and they're just putting a culvert in to direct to the ditch with stormwater, we probably wouldn't need to go through all this as much.
That's my point. We're not picking on a property owner.
No, we're not.
Picking on-
This is because of the fact, literally where they're digging, and it's, if you look at Stewart's where the dumpster is, where they started digging, that's not in the flood zone. But if you get to the halfway point behind the building, where they will be digging from east to west, they're gonna cross into the flood zone.
And that's a newly established flood zone. That was not there when they put the building there.
Right. And actually, the building itself is not in the flood zone, but it's mostly the back parking lot area.
Okay. So I guess,
These-
with all of that being
Sorry.
said, we know why we're postponing this conversation right now until next meeting. Give you a chance to look at all of the things Joe just mentioned and come up with any kind of question that you may have.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to go home asking a question? Does anybody have any questions for Joe before you take it home?
I have a few things to say on this.
Okay,
From what I've seen, the culverts look, I would say, more than sufficient. My main concern with all this is that it is a gas station. And if they have a spill right now, the worst case scenario is it leaches to the back of the building and runs down their hill into the school field, and it's containable, right? You could dig up that soil, you could, excavate all of it, take it all out and contain your spill, and it's not that big of a deal. If they put these culverts in, especially without an engineer stamp or anybody's official approval, and there's a spill and, X amount of gallons of fuel run to the back of the building, they're not just going to leach into the field, they're going to run right into the stream behind the building. And then containing the spill is going to be 10 times as hard. It makes like a path for the spill to follow that could lead it right to a main water supply for a lot of things. And then there's no containing it. They would have to go miles and miles down that stream and somehow try to filter that water to contain the gas or diesel fuel or whatever it might be. And I wasn't sure how they were engaging in work there right away I thought maybe I missed something, but in my opinion, I think the fact that it's a gas station and it has the potential to leach, toxic chemicals into our main water supply that's, accredited and whatnot, they should really have some kind of official accreditation to be doing this, I think. Whether it's an engineer stamp or, maybe even above that, maybe DEC approval beforehand and all that, just for the simple fact of, legally, if something like that does happen, the off chance that something like that does happen and it comes back, that way it doesn't come back, that we let it go on without any official protocols in place.
Right. Yeah, that's where we really need an impact study.
Right. I think
have
it's
a
a great thing. I do, because I think it'll completely solve all the issues of the fields flooding and everything like that. And I think the culvert is the right thing to do. I just want to make sure legally we're on the right page.
okay.
Yeah.
So we will take the next 2-3 weeks to put together the questions we need answered. And maybe we can invite the Stewart's representative to the meeting next month. And you can ask questions directly of him, or maybe, Joe, what's the process? Do we just take our concerns right to him and have him address them before we meet again?
I think Joe left the meeting.
I think good.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. He was having trouble anyway. All right. So let's plan on that. We'll put this on the schedule again for next meeting, first meeting of May.
Okay.
All right, good.
Sorry
All right,
about that.
Barb, did
Guys, I got
Barb have a
booted.
question?
Go
Pardon?
ahead, Luke.
I think Barb had a question.
I did, but it was answered.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Joe, what do we do from here? We get all of our questions together,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And as far as DEC, like you said, approval wise, what they stated is they can give a recommendation. He doesn't have the authority to approve. His job is to make sure stuff is done with a permit. So basically, the approval would be based off our floodplain administrator, but we sure the heck can ask for him to get recommendations from DEC and their opinions. I'm sure if they see a situation where it could be dangerous and contamination, I'm sure they would bring it to the attention of our floodplain administrator.
Okay.
So I do
Well,
have
yeah.
a question now.
Go ahead, Barb.
So could they move where they drain, where they're gonna drain, so that they'd be outside of the floodplain? Because you said part of the property, I think, would be towards the school, isn't in the floodplain? Is that my understanding?
Yes, part of it is in the floodplain, and what it is what we believe we see here on these plans is, and this is coming from our waterworks and also the floodplain administrator. It almost looks like what they're creating almost is kind of like a septic system in a way. It's not a septic system, but it's trying to, like, these culverts got to fill, they overflow, then it would carry over to the bed, the existing bedding, and then it would have to fill that, then filter down. That's what I think we're seeing here. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know, Luke, if that's what you believe that or not. But that's another thing. It's like, it goes back to, what is the function of this? They didn't explain anything.
Yeah, I know, because when I looked at the plans myself and going there, it looks more like a leach field.
Correct.
You know,
It looks exactly like a leach field.
Not so much that it's going to prevent anything, but just push it this way or that.
What Tom Blanchard said from DC was, if this system is literally built to just restrict water flow, and he goes, it probably is efficient. It probably is good. But he goes, we need to know what it is. What's the system designed? Is it designed to restrict water flow, or is it actually designed to deal with the 100-year floodplain? So if it's to deal with it, that changes things. If it's to restrict water flow, then it might be all right. But then it goes back to the question that Luke asked: is if there is a gasoline spill, where is this going to go? Is it going to go into the bedding, or is it going to carry out through what appears to be a leach field and carry on? And is the school adding on to this and carrying it to the river?
Right. And considering that is a state declared trout stream, so can't have that going on if they do have a leak of some type.
Right.
Okay.
I'll look into this and get a bunch of stuff together for our next meeting, and I'll be able to shed some light on things, because I was actually talking to the guys working there, so they actually led me on to a lot of things, and so I'll try to gather some information and give you a heads up on what I think for our next meeting, and we can go from there, I guess. So.
All right. And this came up. This isn't something that's waiting to happen. This came up last week, pretty much. So I just soon not rush anything.
Also, on top of that, you guys got to remember our new executive order. We got to be released from an executive order for them to even go to work, because it's not deemed essential.
Okay.
I mean, no kids are in danger. The school's not in danger of flooding, because the soccer field's been flooded. I hate to say it, flooded out for how long now, and there's no school in session. So, as far as code wise, until Tony releases them, they're gonna have to wait a while.
Okay, so we're not holding things up then.
No, absolutely not.
Yes, that's good. That's good. All right. Are we all set? Does anybody have any more comments, questions?
No.
All right. We'll move on then. And the next topic is an answer to a question that we had last week, whether or not the village itself needs to declare a state of emergency in order to possibly get any kind of federal or state assistance. The short answer to that is no, we do not. It's already been declared for us by the county. However, each municipality needs to write out their own claims if they have any. And I have the forms for that. I think I sent them along to you. If
Yep.
not, ask me in an email and I'll send it out to you again. It's a fairly simple. I remember we filled it out 2 years ago when we had the 2018 winter storm, or whatever one was in March. We got some FEMA reimbursement for that, and it was fairly simple. It just took a long time. So I have the paperwork for that, and we've been isolating the costs, doing our best to keep track of them. So if any of those is eligible, we'll try to get reimbursed for them. On the same note, the county visited our municipality this morning, and they brought with them disposable gloves, right, Dale, and some sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer and masks.
Masks, that's what it was. And distributed those. And did you get your answer? Did the two plants get them?
I divvied them up between all the departments.
You did.
They'll be getting them, everyone will get tomorrow.
All right. All right. I thought they were going to deliver to each department. All right. I
Yeah,
hope there was enough. If not, it's better than what we had. Okay. Moving along. 2 items of communication. I got 2 emails from 2 different people wondering if we could use our board in the park for something, since there really isn't an awful lot going on. One was a request that we maybe put up some encouraging words, and if anybody has any objection to that, that sounds like a really good idea. I don't think I can think of anything that concise, but if anybody has an idea of what we could put up there, that would be nice. The second was a request to put a food bank message up there. They're having trouble, I guess, getting their information out or being seen anyway. So if we could do something like that, does anybody have any objection to using our village board for those 2 purposes?
I have no objection to either.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Maybe we'll
Just-
work something out then. If we,
You mean, you're just saying using the village signboard, correct? Not
in front of the post office.
Yeah.
Right in front of the post office.
but not the entire park. Because I've seen where they have the entire park and they have like your board messages that people put on there concerning the virus, about staying positive and boosting people's spirits and things.
Something like that. Yeah, both of those were suggestions that we use the board for those kinds of things. I think we have enough room. We could probably fit most of it.
Okay.
The parking, off-street parking will be removed.
That is about 2 weeks away, right? No, week and a half away.
Yep. Right.
I would wait until after this last snowstorm.
Yeah, it's gonna snow tonight anyway, so.
Okay. All right, we'll work on that this week. I'll give a
Hey,
call,
now.
Dale. Go ahead.
No,
Nobody?
I said, hey
All
now,
right.
when she said it was gonna snow tonight. I said, hey now.
Oh, okay.
I know. And dirty
All
4-letter words.
There are 2 new items of new business. I think I'll hold those off though until later in the meeting. Let's get through the nuts and bolts here. If there's no objection, we'll waive the reading of the minutes from the last meeting on the 9th of April and adopt those. If there's no objection, I'll take a motion
So moved.
and a second
Second.
and a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, thank you. You have your financials. I saw an email in there just before I turn on my computer or my Skype here. Take a look at those. If you have any questions, call either me or the treasurer. Clerk, you have an abstract for us, and it is signed, right?
Vouchers are signed, correct. And abstract 23, the general
Yes.
fund, $4,314.60. Water fund, $2,329.67. Sewer fund, $2,675.80, for a total of $9,320.07.
And a motion to approve abstract number 23, which includes signatures on each of those claims.
So moved.
And a second.
Second,
Vote?
Yes.
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 And yes. And you have something about the water levy? Re-levy?
When I do the re-levy, the next meeting, I'll have the resolution with the numbers.
Okay.
But in the meantime, though, I do have a request for Church of Christ Uniting to get their park deposit and their park use fee of $125 refunded to them because they're not holding the events.
Right, their events were canceled. All we want to do is return the fee and then, of course, the deposit, which we would anyway after an inspection. You need a motion for that, Dale?
Yes, please.
It's in the abstract, isn't it?
No, it's not a claim against the village.
Okay. All
I'll
right,
make
then
a motion. So,
go ahead.
Second.
And a vote?
yes.
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 And yes, thank you.
That's it for me.
All right, you left me a little note on my agenda. We can adopt the budget tonight?
Yep, that's my note.
All right, is there any objection to the budget the way it is presented tonight? Does anybody have any modifications? I'm telling you, we have no idea what the revenues will be. That was our best case, my best guess at the change in revenues since this COVID-19. Could look a lot worse. The county's been projecting upwards of, well, probably, they're probably at least looking at 20% reduction in sales taxes and bed taxes. And they don't know where it's going to stop. So with that said, if there is no objection, I'll look for a motion to adopt our budget so we can start operating it next year.
So moved.
And a second.
Second,
And a vote?
Yes.
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 I thought the budget looked really good. I looked
Alright.
through it a lot and I think you did a great job. I think
Alright,
everything that was as best
Yeah, I
as we
think
could
you're on
do.
the right
and
track.
Well,
I
the
think
credit goes to
we-
our village people. They keep the costs down. It makes it a little easier when we have to cut like that. Thankfully, we didn't have to cut positions.
Yeah.
I don't know how much deeper we can cut. That's it. We now have before us another project. The library, if you recall, was going to have some renovation done upstairs. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to go through that one? They get tired of hearing me.
Well, I do remember that back before we changed librarians, that there was a proposal for it. There was a lot of confusion involved with, is it going to affect the courtroom? Because if they got to go through the courtroom to do anything, then that could be really bad because there's all these stipulations by Albany that someone has to be present there in the courtroom and all this other stuff. Let alone questions about are they going to disturb any asbestos, any of that stuff. But now that was on hold. Now I believe Codes got a application in they wanted to start work like last week, and they wanted to be deemed essential to go up there and do this work. The bathroom and the kitchen remodel, whatever up there, they said it's essential and all this stuff, which, like my boss said for Codes, you guys haven't even gave me any plans. You haven't gave me anything. And then he also said, you need to talk to the village and find out if anything is going to affect the village and have them involved. And he basically told him, you got a long ways to go, and let alone right now I don't see how this is essential, let alone because the building's shut down, it's closed. It's not open to the public. So that's pretty much what I know. And I don't know if they came to you guys yet or not on that.
Well, that's where we come in right now. This kind of went under the radar. It was taken care of. The Fort County Library System was handling it, helping the village handle it. They secured the funding. They did the plans. I haven't seen the plans except what Dale sent us tonight. That's the first plans I saw, but I was aware that they were planning to do this. We were surprised when we first heard it, but we've been hearing more about it. Problem is that they didn't come to this board for approval for the project. It's a village building, it's a public works, and it needs our approval. So it has to start there as any other village project would. After that, they could probably take it and do with it how they were working. But the first order of business would have been for them to get approval from this board. And that's what I'm asking you for tonight. Not that they'll be able to start working, they won't. And they do have some more work to do on that project before they can get going, like Joe just told you. They have a grant expiration that I've asked them to look into getting extended just because of this crisis that we're going through now. As soon as they get our approval, though, they can go through and get things shored up and then be ready to go on the project when it's time. So does anybody have any questions that I can answer off the cuff without any real in-depth knowledge? Does anybody have any objection to the project going forward?
They've secured all the funding and everything for it, correct?
A good part of it anyway. They're knocking out a wall and extending a bathroom, making a bathroom that has a little room to move in. I don't know if you know what the bathroom upstairs looks like. It originally began as a handicap accessible project, and that's already been pared out of it because of the cost and the danger of running into asbestos. Pretty much is what cut that out. And there's a handicap accessible bathroom downstairs, so they're off the hook for that.
Oh, okay.
All right. So if there's no objection to this project going forward, can we give them our approval so they can get the paperwork done?
I don't see why not. This would be the ideal time to have it done too.
Well, that's what they were thinking, and they were all excited that it was going to happen before it opened up again. But it doesn't sound like that.
I don't think they'd be able to have it done right now.
No, they cannot. They cannot.
No.
That's pretty much how this stalled long enough for us to get a hold of it and make it proper.
Right.
Because they were told they can't start the work.
I'm all good with approving it in
So
order
there's
for
no
them to get the
objection?
paperwork together and in line.
Yeah, that's really all it is. They have a plan. And then their approval will take them to county codes for the rest of it. Okay, so can I have a motion then to approve the project? As
So moved.
And a second,
And I'll second.
and a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Is she doing roll call, or are we just supposed to?
Just, yeah, we can see you. We can see you.
Oh, okay.
You light up when you speak. So then Dale, I think when these minutes get typed up, you can just send a copy to Mindy, so she has them. That's her approval.
Sure will.
Thank you. I have one more item for discussion tonight, and that's unused employee vacation. Comes to my attention that we have quite a few people that will not be able to use their vacation just because of the events of the last few months. I have 3 people on my list that have in excess of 7 days. Ordinarily, if you don't use your vacation time, you lose it. I would like board approval for us to extend the time for them to be able to use that time, because they won't be able to use it before the end of the year. As a matter of fact, we just had one staff go out again today on self-quarantine. There may be an incident, an infection in his family. I would like to ask the board if they will grant the permission for these individuals, all of them, anybody with time left, to use their time by either the end of July or the end of August, your choice, but to give them adequate time to use the time that they would have ordinarily used in this 3 months that we're in right now.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
And yes, thank you. All
Through
right,
August, or,
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, they get to use it through what month?
Oh, yes, do we give them 2 months or 3 months to use up their vacation time? I would suggest we put a limit on it because otherwise they'll run into the same problem next year if they don't ever get their
Right.
time used. Does anybody
The
have
only
a
reason I
preference?
think we should go till August, I think we should probably go till August because we don't know
Okay.
how long all this is gonna last. So
Right.
if we go to August, then I mean, at that point, you know, it is kind of what it is. We can't extend it much longer than that. So that's kind of the max. And we start out there and then that's just it.
All right, that's
Okay.
good defendable logic. I like that, thank you. All set now?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, that's it for me. Trustee Van Riper, you have anything for us tonight?
I have nothing to add, no.
Okay. Trustee Putnam,
Nothing tonight.
you know what? I just remembered we have our, another, officer on the line. We'll get to her in a minute. Trustee Walshipski, anything?
no,
Okay, we have our, cemetery sexton and our historian on the line somewhere.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Sorry about that. Your face isn't showing, so I forget about it.
Well, better you shouldn't see me, I guess. I don't know. One thing I did want to ask your opinion on, we do have a cremation burial coming up, and I'd appreciate the board's opinion as to whether, given the circumstances, someone from perhaps DPW would be able to dig an approximate area of, they're only 1 foot square by 3 foot deep, or if you would prefer that I contact someone else to take care of it. And of course, that would be more expensive to do so. Mr. Hess said that the state governor has said he wants all burials done with services held at a later date.
Right.
As he said, people are not happy about this, but it's the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
And as far as Mr. Hess knows, this is the only one that he is holding that would affect Lakeview.
Okay. Right now, we have a hard time sparing somebody. We have 2 at the DPW and 1 in each of the plants.
Okay.
We might have
I'm
to cut that out.
I'm perfectly fine with contacting someone else. Frank Toth, who usually is our gentleman I go to, is still, to the best of my knowledge, stuck in Florida. So Mike Stocking did a previous burial for us, so I can contact him if that's permissible.
I would suggest that. Does the board have any objection or other idea for that?
No, I think that's all right.
Yeah,
Yep.
I approve.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I will get in touch with him and we'll take care of that.
Okay. Anything else from your end of town?
No, all is I'm like in a vacuum.
All right. Well, thanks for attending tonight. It's good to hear you.
Good, thank you.
Is there anybody else with anything to say?
Mayor, I got one more thing.
Shoot.
Okay. So yet again, I've been called up numerous times to Lakeview Ave for noise complaints and stuff like that with the state police. As of yesterday, me and 2 troopers went up there. The troopers did take action. There was a ticket issued. And also, I am working on a situation with the vehicles up there. he admitted that there's literally eight vehicles up there, and he admitted that there's 2 or 3 of them that are not registered, and his question was, what if I can't get them registered because of COVID? I told him to try go online, see if he can register them, and I said, how about better yet, you just store the vehicles until this is done, and then that way you can go DMV, get them registered. But the thing I actually told him that I would press in court if we went to court over this is, you have a vehicle with a flat tire there, so that's inoperable. You got 1 vehicle that's not registered with no plates on it. You got 1 vehicle with a plate on it that doesn't go with the vehicle. And then another vehicle that's up on ramps. And then you got a vehicle there that has Florida plates that's not registered. So he got the hint. He started taking care of it. He said he wants me to come up Thursday, check everything out. So hopefully he's taking care of it. If not, I will do an order of remedy. He will have 10 days. It is a rent-to-own situation. So if this goes to court, I will be summoning the property owner and him to court and let the judge figure it out.
Okay.
No.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
There's no further business for this board, then I'll remind you that our next meeting is Tuesday, the 12th of May at 7 o'clock. Same time, same place. Got that, Barb?
I am getting there.
And then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, everybody, for your attendance tonight. Stay safe.
You too.
Yeah.
You too. Have a good one, guys.